G2 ban away the Akali and the Nautilus, while Team Secret Whales are going to take Orianna and Cassante off the table.
Absolutely. So G2 doing their research, targeting both DRA in the mid lane and BA on support. BA and Team Secret, they love their engaged supports, being able to force fights when they want to, being able to make action happen. A lot of it's being driven by their jungler and that support combo. So by removing the Nautilus very early on in the draft, they're removing one of those options. Meanwhile, TSW targeting at Caps. Shouldn't come as a surprise. This man was undefeated on Orianna throughout the entirety of LEC Versus, and it's a scary champion to give him. Removing that Rise from his hands is also a very smart choice. And this is something that, to many longtime G2 fans may be surprised, Rumble in the top lane, something that they were not playing really prior to this year, but this split we've been seeing Broken Blade actively on the champion a lot more. Kind of up to your discretion as to whether or not you think he can pilot it at the same level or like international ready Rumble. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, Broken Blade on the Rumble will at least give them a big point of power to play through in the mid game around those topside objectives. Whenever I see a Rumble drafted by anyone, anywhere, I'm always expecting you to want to play around Rift Herald specifically. It really shines in those types of situations. Over on the other side, Team Secret Whales, they're going to pick the Jarvan for themselves, which is a top-tier jungler on its own, but it's also something that pairs really well with the Rumble, dropping the Cataclysm to trap people on top of the Equalizer, so it's a good denial there, too.
Absolutely. I think we call it the hot pot combo.
Yeah, we've got the same thing.
Exactly. The Rumble plus Jarvan ultimate is always a scary combination. The ORnn going to be the response. Very safe from Pun on the top side, just wanting to weather that storm largely, prioritize early magic resistance, getting through the early pressure that a Rumble can have, while also offering similar teamfight value, because that ORnn horn is just so impactful in the late game fights. Yeah,
the laning phase versus Rumble for tanks usually just amounts to, all right, sit back, maybe take a beating for a little while. Once Kaenic Rookern comes online and the shield can start eating the flame spitters, it just becomes a lot easier to breathe in those matchups. So Pun piloting the ORnn, like you said, in this one, and SkewMond is going to go for one of those AD junglers that you always want when you draft Rumble as your top laner. So Vi locked in here, and what goes better with Vi than one of her classic best friends in the mid lane? It will be the Ahri for Caps.
Yeah, going for the first pick, Ahri. I mean, we've seen a bunch of nerfs to the tried and true mid laners that we've been seeing a lot throughout the split. Things like Azia's been nerfed, Talia's been nerfed, and so that does raise the priority of certain other mid laners that weren't touched, Ahri being one of them. We've already seen it come out earlier today from Knight into the hands of Caps now, paired alongside that Vi. It is a devastating combo for sure. But you can see both sides, like Team Secret, they're going for a lot of team fighting, a lot of early agency. Aurora known as an early game champion just because of her ability to bully you in the laning phase if she can get up close in your face. Jarvan with really nice gank setup. They have a lot of skirmishing power in the early game, with the ORnn kind of being that late game insurance. I think Kai'Sa now needs to be something that both these teams think about. G2 pairing the Kai'Sa alongside this much dive, very common in Europe. Just giving you that extra backline access. Forget focusing the ORnn and the Jarvan, ignore them both, go straight to the backline alongside the Vi, something Team Secret should consider banning, but it's G2 that actually banned that one away, and for the same reasons that Team Secret is thinking about.
Yeah, Eddie, a known Kai'Sa player, very adept on the champion. G2 does not want to allow that to go over to the Team Secret Whales side, as we will see the Nico banned out alongside of it. Another one of those champions that can provide a ton of AoE power, a big explosive burst with the ultimate. Also makes players work on their counting skills.
Absolutely.
Having to double check every minion wave, make sure there's not an extra one in there, so we will not see any of those shenanigans here in this game. And now the Nami also banned away, getting rid of one of those powerful laning enchanters. You talked about how Team Secret Whales likes to play around BA on engage type of champions. It's why the Nautilus was banned out from G2. So Team Secret Whales is saying, all right, if we're wanting to play something engaged, we don't want to just get bullied the whole lane phase long.
Absolutely, and it also just makes things like both Lucian and Corki harder to play in the laning phase. Yunara is also still up to compare with a number of powerful range supports, and it's going to be taken away by G2. So I mean, you look at Eddie's two top most played throughout the year, Kai'Sa and Yunara, now both taken off the table. But also by them banning away the Nami, it also makes it a little bit harder for Team Secret to play things like the Ezreal and the Corki and pair it alongside the Nami, which we know can be a very devastating bot lane 2 versus 2. But it seems that the Corki is still going to be the direction, provides a lot of mobility. Into something like Vi, you do want that extra bit of mobility so that once you see that ultimate flying through, you have that W to help create a little bit of space. But you've got to be cautious about how much space you create, because if you're too far away from your team, then the Ahri and the Vi are going to be looking to lock you down.
Yeah, I always prefer to see champions that have built-in escape or mobility mechanisms against Vi, because you can turn her ulti against her, make her go too deep. Once you see that red line tracked onto you, she must go in. So we'll see how well Eddie can try to avoid that pressure from SkewMond, as G2 will pretty swiftly lock in their bottom lane combination with the Ezreal and the Bard.
So they want a bit of self-peel and range for themselves. The beauty of Ezreal in this composition is not only is Ezreal good into things like Jarvan and ORnn because of your E, your dash ability, but also it's a very safe AD carry that paired alongside the Bard, Labrov is now free to roam. And what's more devastating than a Vi-Ahri combo? Just chucking a support in there. You know, adding that extra dive, buddy, adding that extra threat onto the Rift. G2's composition possesses a lot of damage threats. Rumble, Vi, Ahri, Ezreal, if any of these champions get ahead, it can be very difficult to deal with. Team Secret kind of largely running with 2.5. Jarvan still being able to do damage, but not quite to the same kill threat that many other junglers do possess. Aurora and this Corki are going to be those primary threats. And it's important for Team Secret to keep them healthy, keep them alive. And that's why I love what the analyst desk was setting up around these junglers. Hizto and SkewMond, big central parts for their team. They are the engines, they're the driving forces, they're the things that make things happen. And I think that whoever gets this mid lane ahead is going to be the one driving this game one.
And when I look at G2, I see a composition that's really going to have a lot of pressure on Labrov to have good tempered fates, because they only really have single target engage / pick with the Vi and the Ahri, right? Over on the other side, you've got Jarvan Cataclysm. You've got the ORnn to follow it up. You've got a lot of this big engage power, and I think G2 is really going to need those tempered fates to set up good equalizers afterward to make sure Vi and Ahri can get the targets if they want to. So pressure on Labrov here for this one with the Bard. It's one of those champions that when you're good on it, man, you look so good. And when you're bad on it, you're getting 9 reports. You've got to make sure you are dialed in here for the G2 support in game number 1.
Well, I'm excited to see what they can do on the Rift. I mean, Jack gave us the summary. So Vietnamese teams versus G2, a pretty extensive history. There have definitely been situations where G2 have fallen short in past iterations of the roster. And I'm wondering how they'll show up today, because already a flash comes out from D-Ray.
Yeah, the mid lane scrap going back and forth here. And honestly, I really like level 1 fights with the changes in 2026, because I feel like it makes it that much more impactful when you can't just recall, go back to base, regenerate all your health, and the trade doesn't mean anything. It does end up costing potions. You can see D-Ray already has consumed those in his inventory right now, sitting on only the Doran's ring, as Caps is now going to do the exact same. So all that regeneration already dealt with before the minions even collided.
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't come as too much of a surprise. I think D-Ray is a player that really looked to take the mantle after Hongyu departed from the region. I mean, even last year, there was a lot of discussion around who was actually the strongest performing throughout the regular season and domestically. And it was D-Ray who was really challenging that top spot. It was just that when the finals rolled around and the international competitions, Hongyu was performing on an absolute god tier level that D-Ray couldn't compete with. But with Hongyu now out of the equation, D-Ray's just risen to that rank and is fighting for the top spots, as the bot lane from G2 got that early level 2, already getting very aggressive in the 2 versus 2, leveraging the double range bot lane to really bully out BA and Eddie.
Yeah, the Bard plus the Ezreal combination has plenty of power as long as those skill shots are connecting. Tri-lane cam coming up here. As you can see, D-Ray trying to get this wave shoved in. Does have a little bit of extra damage onto the minion wave, as Pun seems to not really be struggling at all with Broken Blades Rumble here in the first couple of levels. Generally always going to be a great sign when you have the powerful scaling of that ORnn like you were talking about. Meanwhile, mid lane, it's D-Ray who gets a visit from SkewMond, but he does not drop.
I mean, Caps committed the flash to make that play, and he still wasn't able to find anything. D-Ray putting attention straight back into the 1 versus 1, already looking for a bit of trade. He knows he has that slight health advantage, which means that Caps has to be super careful when he approaches because of situations like this, actually choosing to run the bone plating to help mitigate some of that burst. But once the bone plating falls off, you can see how quickly Caps drops in terms of HP. In terms of the farm, though, pretty even in the middle lane. Things pretty steady across the board as both junglers have made their way towards bottom. I think that Hizto is going to have to path his way back up to top, but he's looking to contest this crab. bad. His bot lane does not have prio.
Okay,
Does have level 4 though.
Yeah, he's got the extra level advantage over SkewMond, and immediately, as soon as he sees the G2 jungler on the approach, goes in for the EQ combo. Labrov on the way now. Hizto's got to be a little bit careful here. Down to 200 HP, but he does not get stunned into the wall by the magical binding here just yet. Hizto on the run. D-Ray's about to fall. BA reinforcing, trying to shield him up there with a battle dance. Over the wall goes Hizto, but into the ground goes the mid laner. D-Ray falls, and Caps gets first blood.
Ooh. SkewMond, that was some crazy Vi mechanics right there. He angled the Q in a way that allowed him to, after he flashed, connect onto D-Ray, even though BA was body blocking for him. That was such an ambitious contest from Team Secret. The fact that they didn't have that bot prio meant that it was easier for Labrov to arrive first. D-Ray actually stayed for an extra wave, whereas Caps went back to base and already TP'd in. So G2 was already in a better position to contest, and Team Secret end up giving first blood. But I really just want you to watch SkewMond. So on the minimap, you can see Labrov arrives first, Caps has just TP'd back into lane, D-Ray still at 50% HP. So Team Secret really can't take this fight anymore. They have to retreat. Hizto flashes away. Now, in this retreat, watch SkewMond. He's channeling his Q. BA is in the way. He's going to go up. Flash still connected.
Oh my goodness.
Beautifully done by SkewMond. Sets up for the kill to go over the Caps, and that's first blood on G2's shoulders.
Such good play there from the G2 combo, mid and jungle. Labrov and Hans Sama now going forward. Labrov goes for the flash stun into the wall, but Eddie still gets away for now. Labrov and Hans looking for more. BA still with most of his health bar, but another mystic shot from Hans could take him down to about half. BA with the grand entrance all the way back out of the fight as he and Eddie are once again getting familiar with the sights, smells, and sounds underneath their turret as their opponents continue to maintain lane pressure.
I mean, Labrov trading his flash for Eddie's worthwhile trade. That is absolutely certain. While all this was happening, Hizto did steal away some camps on SkewMond's side of the map. SkewMond now going to make a return visit himself to steal away what camps he can. Hizto, though, level 5, hovering around the bot side of the map. And there's not a lot of vision here for G2.
Meanwhile, back in mid, D-Ray going to go ahead, go between worlds, looking for the solo kill on a Caps, but he does not hit the two-fold Hex, so he will not have enough damage to truly threaten the G2 mid laner. He saw his opportunity to go in when he had level 6. The Ahri was still only level 5, but missing that Hex means that it's not going to turn into much of anything. Caps still didn't even have the flash, so there's no chance to blow a summoner spell there. So D-Ray just going to have a little bit less, kill pressure for the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, I mean, the idea from D-Ray was to leverage the fact that, that level advantage. And if he'd been able to connect a few more spells, there's a real chance that he might have been able to find a kill, but unfortunately for him, he couldn't quite connect onto Caps. Caps, though, feeling pretty happy with his situation, has already looked to upgrade the boots. Something that we're seeing a lot more just this year due to the changes to the role quest that you get those upgraded tier 2s. Meanwhile, Dragon is now an option on the board. Pings have come down from Team Secret. Hizto continues to fish for enemy jungle camps. SkewMond, though, pings on the map himself saying, hey, I think they are fishing through my jungle right now. Just be mindful that he's on the top side, and that's exactly why he's starting this Dragon off. Good awareness from SkewMond, trying to punish on the cross map. Pings have come through. I mean, he's pinging him on the Scuttle Crab right now. He doesn't even have vision of him. Look, the pings just continue to come down. So just really great awareness from the G2 side.
Yep, and we still don't have level 6 on either one of the junglers just yet, so not quite enough playmaking to make anything happen on the other side. Hizto does now have the Cataclysm available. We'll see if maybe he wants to try to do anything against Broken Blade up there in the top side. He is heading towards that direction as Pun summons up the ORnn, goes in for the stun on Broken Blade, who flashes away from it. However, the second cast still lands on him as Hizto is ready to keep this one going here with the Cataclysm. Broken Blade tries to get away, but one more Dragon Strike seals his fate. Team Secret Wales ties the game.
It's a difficult gang to escape from, and Team Secret, they just comboed their skills beautifully, made the kill look easy. Broken Blade with a very early flash limited his outplay potential, and it means that Team Secret now on the board. Caps finding some nice trades in the middle lane himself, but overall, we think about ways in which these teams want to win, right?
Okay.
And for Team Secret, you've got to remember that D-Ray and Eddie are the main damage threats. They're behind, but not monstrously behind. The gold advantage largely just sitting on Caps thanks to that early kill. Hans Sama only marginally ahead. The fact that you get Pun in a good position means that you're going to have a solid front line, but we need to see Hizto turning some of that attention towards the bot side of the map. Doing so, though, with the Grub spawning in 25 seconds, will leave that objective open for SkewMond to turn his attention to. And for any like fans, again, that don't really follow SkewMond much, if you watch Inspired, very similar in terms of his approach. Very methodical, very strategic, likes to clear his camps, make sure that he's as efficient as possible. But he's also going to punish the jungler when he can. And look, remember he stole that early Gromp from earlier? He's back on it. Just as it's respawning, stealing away those camps, he's going to look to steal away the wolves as well. Deny that farm and experience away from Hizto.
Meanwhile, over in mid, you could see Team Secret Whales again trying to make moves on Caps, trying to put some pressure on the Ahri. If nothing else, at least force out the Spirit Rush. But Caps, calm, cool, and collected, was able to sidestep just to the side of the grand entrance, avoid any of that pressure coming out from Team Secret Whales as Labrov makes his way into the enemy jungle. Very easy to put down some of these wards, keep an extra eye on where Hizto is going when you have the magical journey to be able to escape, when you can use the cosmic binding to stop anyone pursuing you. Hizto now once again looking for the pressure onto Caps. Team Secret Whales really focusing on these solo lanes here early on.
I mean, it was Raz that said Team Secret Whales, based on playoffs, second bloodiest team in the world. They love to fight, they love to scrap, but G2's not really giving it to them. We're finding a couple skirmishes, a couple small fights here and there, but Team Secret haven't really found the fights that they've been looking for. TP comes back through from Caps, the bot lane. Ooh, Labrov, hang on a minute.
Yeah, Labrov goes on a magical journey, but it might be a little bit too far. BA and Eddie, now with some firing time onto Hans Sama. Labrov stays alive, but only with 100 HP as Hizto kills off SkewMond here to the top side. Pun going for the ORnn, knocks out Broken Blade, but Caps might be able to find not just one kill, but maybe two. Broken Blade about to die. Double kill over to Hizto. Caps wants to get something back, and he's already found the kill on the D-Ray. Wants to get another one to Hizto to recharge the Spirit Rush. Flashes over the wall. Has the Foxfire. Charm for the double kill. Caps with one more Spirit Rush. He makes the fight work out. The game stays tied 3-3.
Now this is a little bit more of what I was expecting. A little bit more chaotic energy on the Rift. On the bot side of the map, Labrov makes a very questionable play, ending up in a very poor skirmish that cost him his flash. Meanwhile, on the top side, SkewMond is on the objective. It looks like G2's going to collapse first, but the one shot that comes through from D-Ray to find that kill, but Caps isn't going to let it go without a fight. Broken Blade isolated in the pit, doesn't have his flash, so Hizto turns his attention over to Pun to help him out. But Caps is full HP. He gets a refresher on the ultimate. Hizto tries to escape. Caps commits the flash, and overall, it ends up being a 2-for-2 with 2 grubs still remaining.
Okay, so 1 grub for G2 is the only thing that ends up falling up there. The other 2 still up for grabs. Next Drake spawning in under 90 seconds now. Remember that G2 did collect the first one just that last time ago. Caps up 1.4 thousand gold individually. I feel like for a lot of fans, this is, if you only watch international competition, you don't tune into as many regular leagues, like Caps is the guy that kind of defines Europe when they go to these international events, and this is what you would expect to want to see if you want to see G2 make it through this stage.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Caps is the player that EU often puts their hope and faith in. He is the man that is represented us so well. Labrov called out, no flash.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot committed here as they want to go ahead and use the Rakan ultimate. Labrov does get knocked down. BA takes the kill, though, and this actually brings up an interesting point, Vedius. You talked to me yesterday before this series about how Team Secret Whales will sometimes just go for plays because they can get a kill, but the timer won't line up with everything they're committing for the real fight after. They go ahead and they expend those resources. That's BA's quickness. That's a really huge team fighting tool that now won't be available for this dragon that's spawning in 8 seconds, and Labrov is already back on the map. So I'm curious if Team Secret Whales, will this impact their ability to fight for that?
Oh, it absolutely will. The advantage that G2 have right now is that Histo's moved back up towards his top side. They don't really have any control over this bot river. The vision's quickly being cleared out, and SkewMond's going to start this one off. I'm going to keep my eyes on Hizto, see whether or not he's interested at all, and it looks like he's not. They're choosing to make the cross map. And domestically, when I was watching the finals, my impression of Team Secret is that they were prepared to just fight you at every objective. They are showing a lot more respect here to G2. They're not just blindly going in for every fight that they can take, and instead they're being a little bit more tactical in their approach. The kills are in their favor, 4-3 after finding that extra pick onto Labrov, and knowing that a fight around Dragon isn't going to happen, Broken Blade just drops his ulti in the top lane to clear that wave out.
And I feel like that's something that comes to a lot of people's minds when they think about Vietnamese League of Legends, is really scrappy, really explosive, really like kill-heavy games. But Team Secret Whales is one of the squads that can play more of a macro game, that can try to just avoid some of the fights if they feel like they need to. The loss of the quickness that we mentioned is kind of a big thumbs down for wanting to take one of those team fights and having a chance of winning it. So sure, they'll just take the last 2 remaining grubs. Still 2.5 minutes until the Rift Herald is going to spawn. So I would anticipate the next couple minutes of gameplay gameplay here should be pretty slow until we have something big to fight for, as Team Secret Whales does have control over this top side. A big wave crashed into the turret. Eddie and BA just racking up some plate money here. G2, though, still ahead over 1,000 gold as a team.
I really do love what Team Secret is doing, though. Their vision control has actually been fantastic. While they didn't have a lot of river control, their deep vision was excellent. The top side was entirely littered up. They had one deep ward on the enemy blue buff as well, so they could spot out SkewMond as to where he was at. The mid lane is continuing to trade as the trade of ultis, means that no damage will really come through, no kill threat's going to come through there. But by supplying all of that vision on the top side of the map, it meant that the bot lane could rotate up there, secure themselves a couple plates. They ended up getting 3 in total. And while the gold is, I mean, the gold advantage is basically just sitting on caps. That's what the gold difference is. And in terms of itemizations, it's not that significant. Oh, hang on a minute.
D-Ray does find himself in range of the buy ulti, but BA's trying to protect him. SkewMond ends up picking up the kill, and BA might be number 2. G2 brought more men to the party, and BA falls to the charm. Caps is on a rampage, and G2 is up 2,000 gold. Hizto tries to get something back. He goes in for the EQ engage. Cataclysm to follow it up. That was a little bit audacious coming out from the Secret Whales jungler, but Labrov has to flash away because the magical journey was misplaced. Now SkewMond taking a ton of damage from Eddie. Hizto's very low. Hansama wants to get the kill. Eddie's underneath the enemy turret. He misses the rocket. Team Secret Whales, what are you doing? Caps, unstoppable.
Caps is just making fun of them now. He doesn't have his ulti, so I think there isn't much of a play here. But SkewMond saying, no, trust me, we've got this. Connects the ulti, the max range charm, just as the airborne wears off as well. BA doing what he can to provide safety for his mid laner, but it's not enough. And then again, Caps with a max range charm to secure the kill. Picks up 2 to start things off. Hizto then says, I need to get something back for my team. I have to try and get a couple kills here. Nice use of the EQ to get out of that situation. But the moment Eddie arrives, they're saying, hey, we've got kills. Binding connects from Labrov. A flash out from Caps. Hansama arrives, and look at that charm. Eddie thinks he can flash auto, and Broken Blade flashes top.
Yeah, Broken Blade flashing out of the way, also dodges the secondary knockup coming in from Pun, but now Between Worlds should be enough from D-Ray. They will secure the kill. Meanwhile, bottom side, BA's in trouble, and a last little bit of damage needs to find him to the Mystic Shot, and Hansama finds his 2nd kill of the game. So even though Secret Whales find their mark up here in the top lane, they'll also get the first turret right after. G2 is going to respond with a kill of their own, as well as a turret take of their own down here in the bottom lane. Since Caps is on the split push, they've got the 1 Void Grub with a little bit of extra damage, and G2 remains 3,500 gold ahead. Hizto does secure the Rift Herald, however, and that's honestly a pretty good thing. Remember back in draft, I was talking about I always want to see Rumble teams fight for Rift Heralds.
That's true.
Well, if Rumble's dead, he can't fight for the Rift Herald, so Team Secret Whales takes it.
Flowers.
Yes.
So, Caps.
Okay.
I don't think he's bought a Mejai's all year.
Well, he's bought one now.
This is the game to do it. I mean, 5-0-2 scoreline. Hans does pretty much have the same gold advantage he does, but fortunately for Eddie, they're matched in terms of spikes, both sitting on the Trinity Force and the tiers stacking up. But G2 feels much, I mean, the gold is obvious, but I mean, I like that Team Secret is trading where they can. They secured that top tower, they got the Rift Herald that makes it easier to contest on that middle wave to secure that next outer tower that they likely want to lock down. But the Dragon, 45 seconds away. It'll be the 3rd one for G2. It'll put them on soul point, and the pressure is starting to mount in Team Secret having to fight G2 when they have this gold lead.
And you talk about they're both stacking the tiers, but critically, Hansama already has his turned into the Manamune, and depending on how much firing time he gets onto minions, enemy champs, whatever, he's at 321 stacks. You only need 360 to evolve it into the Muramana. It's very possible that that could be evolved in time for this next Dragon fight, which would be a nightmare for Team Secret Whales to deal with Muramana, Trinity Force, Ezreal alongside this turbo-fed Ahri, and this could be a serious issue. Meanwhile, it looks like Labrov might be looking for an angle on D-Ray up here in the top lane, but he can't get there in time. So Team Secret Whales, at least they are going to force Hans back in the mid lane. They'll establish priority over the Dragon Pit first. Caps is nearby, checking to see what he might be able to find. Teleports are up for Broken Blade and for D-Ray.
Very deep wards. Already the TP is going to be committed from Broken Blade.
Okay, he immediately arrives, but there's the Tempered Fate to stuff the engage. Pun gets the ORnn, but not on any value targets. Broken Blade's in the middle of everybody, and the burst damage comes through. Team Secret Whales already found 1 kill, but now Pun is soaking a ton of damage. SkewMond takes him down. It's a 1-for-1 thus far. Labrov wants to get away, but he misses his Cosmic Binding. A double kill over to D-Ray. A dunk from Hizto. here in the mid lane right after. G2 loses the fight, and Team Secret Whales come to life right when they need to.
A fantastic punish from Team Secret onto a terrible TP from Broken Blade. He just TPs into the face of Team Secret right in the middle lane. Team Secret don't waste any time. This is their go button. Jarvan is standing waiting, connects the EQ. Labrov tries to buy time. A good ulti from Pun. Zones 3 members away. Caps only just now arrives to the fight. Connects a charm on the Pun. He's tanky enough to... I mean, he does end up losing his life, turning in for 1-for-1, but then Tira's like, okay, I see these low health members. I think I can get something back. Hizto doesn't waste any time either, getting a kill of his own. I stand corrected. Dire secures that one.
Twofold hex.
The triple kill comes through, and while that gold lead is still there for G2, it's dwindled. 3.4 before, 2.4 now after Cap secures another tower.
Yeah, Caps just taking the turret in the face of Pun, who now has to try to escape as Labrov and SkewMond both arrive. Charm hits Pun, but as soon as BA shows up, G2 knows they don't want to try to overforce this, killing an ORnn. So they'll go ahead and back away. Still that 2,500 gold lead. I think even more critically for Team Secret Whales, besides just chopping away a third of that lead that G2 had, they stopped the soul stack as well.
Absolutely.
If G2 would have secured that Drake through winning the fight, they would have then had that pressure for the rest of the game that Team Secret Whales would have had to respond to.
It really also felt that Caps was just blowing D-Ray out of the water. He was accelerated, this Ahri was getting out of control, stacking up the Magi, but then D-Ray triple kill, death cap. He gets himself a death cap, and so the Dark Seal also stacking up for him. I'd be surprised if he goes for a Magi this late, Hans.
Okay, BA, below half health, Hizto flashes away. If that charm would have hit him, it would have been certain death as G2 forces down the tier 1 turret, but now D-Ray ready to get some damage here on Hans. Pun takes the kill, and the G2 AD carry is already down. D-Ray is low, SkewMond looking for a little bit more damage. Labrov goes in and finds the kill on the enemy mid laner. SkewMond got to try to get away now as Hizto looks for more damage. Eddie is incredibly low, and Broken Blade on the flank burns him down. Pun in the middle of 4 now, has to try to get back, capped at only 400 HP as G2 have found yet another, and they just out-team fight Secret Whales.
A scrappy affair in the middle lane as Hans Sama gets caught out. Isolated from the rest of his team, Team Secret see an opportunity to perhaps convert this into something more, but the G2 collapse is swift. So you can see ulti invested from Caps, fishing onto Hizto. He loses a lot of HP, but that's not enough of a deterrent for him because D-Ray goes in, targets out Hans Sama, he gets blown up by Pun. No opportunity for Caps to really involve in the fight as Hizto rejoins, but now Team Secret overstay their welcome as we're back into the action.
D-Ray with a quick burst onto Caps there, about half the HP from the Ahri. Sidesteps away from the charm here too critically, but D-Ray also low now. One more charge on that Spirit Rush is enough for Caps to be able to walk away. They don't want to overcommit onto the Ahri while he still has that. Meanwhile, Broken Blade going for a teleport, and it's G2 looking for the counterpunch now. D-Ray low, Hizto low, Hans Sama's the focus, but they can't find the Ezreal this time. Broken Blade with a flame spitter, takes out the mid laner right afterwards, and G2 pick off 2 critical kills. The enemy mid laner down, the enemy jungler down. Baron is on the rift, Ezreal.
Absolutely. I think this is an easy objective start. With no jungler, no smites, there's no way for Team Secret to contest this objective.
And Hans Sama's Ezreal staying alive, so they have the DPS to take this down super easily. He was the focus once again. This is exactly what G2 want. Caps and Labrov can zone everybody else away. SkewMond, Hans, and Broken Blade have plenty of damage to secure this objective. 6,500 gold lead. Baron at 21 minutes into the game. G2 has everything they could want here.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a messy affair. You can see that Team Secret prone and key to look for picks, look for plays where they can. But G2 now, with the gold lead that they have, are successfully punishing these plays. The TP collapse after Team Secret tried to find a pick onto Caps is so effective from Broken Blade, cuts off their escape route. The 3 members get that initial kill onto Hizto. Broken Blade converts it into another, and now Team Secret don't have the resources left. TS just tunneling a little too hard. If they get that pick onto Caps, maybe they can be the ones to threaten that Baron, but now it ends up costing them so much.
And since Caps doesn't fall, he just continues adding more and more pages to his death note. 18 stacks now on the Magi's. This Ahri is truly a problem. He's also getting closer and closer to level 16. Still most of that EXP bar to go, but considering D-Ray is only level 13, 15 feels plenty good here on the Ahri as G2 now mounts a multi-lane assault. Bottom lane, it's Caps, SkewMond, and Labrov forcing the wave into the tier 3 turret. Meanwhile, back in mid, Broken Blade dealing with the tier 2 at the same time. G2 4-1 split now with Broken Blade in the mid lane, everyone else down here bottom. Team Secret Wales has to respond to trying to keep the base integrity intact, which means the tier 2 mid is sacrificed, and we're up to a 7,500 gold lead.
Yeah, I mean, with the gold that G2 have, with the lead that they have, Team Secret are basically hoping for a miracle at this point. They need to find a miraculous pick. They need to have G2 overextend underneath the tower. They need to find some opportunity to slow G2 down in order to really stay relevant in this game, because with the advantage that G2 have, it feels like that we already need to be thinking about game 2.
Yeah, this is real tough. I guess if you're looking for silver linings, if you're Team Secret Wales, you're saying, all right, that previous fight that we won 5 minutes ago made it so this isn't Ocean Soul plus a 7,500 gold lead.
Absolutely.
But that's about all you've got right now. The map is owned by G2. They've got that wave all the way pushed towards the inhibitor turrets in 2 out of 3 lanes, and now you can see the G2 pings going onto the tier 2 turret up there in the top side. They want to remove the last standing structure outside of the enemy base. Hizto down to a quarter HP. He's going to have to go all the way back to base, but the Tempered Fate finds him in the middle of the EQ combo. Hizto still tries to get away, but Caps says no. G2's already found 1 kill, and now they want more. Eddie uses the Valk over the wall, but SkewMond is ready to chase him. The Corki's under pressure, but SkewMond has gone too far. Never mind, he's doing all right. Pun drops, and SkewMond survives. The Triumph keeps him alive as D-Ray barely hobbles away here as well. Labrov, SkewMond, D-Ray all at death's door, but it's Hizto and Pun, the only 2 who fall in the fight, and Broken Blade will take that tier 2 turret with 5 seconds left on your Red Bull Baron power play. G2 has cleaned everything off the map outside the enemy base.
That was a very close one, but the binding connects from Labrov, the charm follow-up. You can see the pick power of this composition, but this is where I think G2 maybe committed quite deep. They're throwing everything at the kitchen sink as to Hizto. They finally land the stun, they finally get the kill, and they're looking for more. Ulti from SkewMond, an ambitious charm from Caps to try and follow up. The rest of Team Secret doing everything they can to keep their members healthy and safe, and just barely is SkewMond able to get away with his life as Team Secret lose 2. They'll only lose a tower is the good news, but their base is quickly falling apart as G2 set themselves up for another Baron spawning in 2 minutes' time.
I know it's only a minor rune, but every time you see someone live because of Triumph, it's always one of those just sweat pouring down the forehead types of moments. SkewMond barely getting away there. And look at the individual gold leads. For every single role, they're just about the same. It's not the story of any one individual. Everyone's up about 2,500 gold, except I guess for the Bard, who's only a measly 1,000 up over his opponent. But it's all set on the gold graph right there. It's just pure red as G2 have absolute control over the game. SkewMond and Caps looking for Pun now, but the counterattack from Team Secret Wales is there. Tempered Fate to protect the G2 players. Labrov shows up and keeps Caps alive. SkewMond continues the pressure forward as Pun dies, covering the retreat. Team Secret Wales lose 2, and now it's a 5v3 push coming out from G2 down here in the bottom lane. Caps wants another charm, but he can't quite find it. Team Secret Wales, they're scrambling, trying to stay alive. SkewMond goes in, but he's pretty far forward. His Guardian Angel's going to protect him. He will res. They will not be able to secure the kill on that one, and it buys enough space, it buys enough time for G2 to take the tier 3 turret, take the inhibitor right after, and finally crack through the base defenses of Team Secret Wales.
They're playing it safe, they're playing it smart. They're waiting for the Baron to respawn. They don't have to overcommit right now. Instead, they can reset, spend what gold they've got, and get ready for that objective to close this one out. That bottom lane play, I mean, at first I think Caps wasn't intending for there to be a play, but they see how much damage he's able to do, and they think maybe we can convert this into something. But then the turn from Team Secret was looking very scary. Labrov kind of creates a reset opportunity, buys them time with a good ulti. Caps gets away to safety, and then once the equalizer drops, the fight gets divided in 2. Team Secret have to retreat. G2 find a bunch of kills, and then they're able to secure themselves an inhibitor.
That's the smile of a man who just had his 25 pages saved by a clutch Bard ultimate, and then they get to take the enemy inhibitor as a result. 20 seconds left on the Baron. I would presume that G2 is going to play for this objective and then look for the end of the game after that. If you're Team Secret Wales, you're pressed with a very hard decision now, Vedius, because if you allow this Baron to go over, the timers are going to line up perfectly that G2 can just take the Baron, reset, spend the money, and then secure the soul. control and straight push into your base. But if you want to contest the Baron, then now you're fighting in neutral territory with a 12,000 gold deficit.
Oh yeah, I mean,
it's
not looking good.
It's the lesser of two evils.
Team Secret is in what one would call stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, that seems appropriate.
Yeah, and so right now they are just two-manning the Baron. Han Summer and Caps acting as gatekeepers, preventing them from even entering the jungle. Vision will be completely denied. The Baron is quickly falling. Labrov has to be careful, but he's going to magical journey his way to safety.
Yeah, he only loses, what, 10% of his HP there, and then heals back most of it with the Caretaker Shrine. As Team Secret Wales, now they've given up the Baron. They continue retreating back towards their own base. 15 seconds on the Drake, and all G2 has to do is send a single player over there. You can secure the Ocean Soul for free, or maybe they don't even want to bother. Maybe they do not care. They would rather just 5-man press this mid lane right now as they go for the tier 3 turret. They should be able to find plenty of damage onto that one with a Baron Enchanted Cannon minion. Pun going for the ORnn. Tempered Fate onto Han Sama to try to protect him from the follow-up engage from Team Secret Wales. SkewMond is into the back line. G2, Han Sama's already down. SkewMond in a little bit of danger now as Team Secret Wales look for a little more damage, but Caps is already godlike. The Whales don't have the damage. G2's just stronger, and everybody's dropping except for Eddie as G2 get 4 for 1. Team Secret Wales, they'll throw everything in the kitchen sink at Han Sama, and man, they'll get him, but at what cost? G2 marching on to the Nexus turrets now. Labrov goes on a magical journey through the Nexus, forces Eddie to flash back into his own fountain. He will barely survive the Ahri burst as G2 will march straight in. This game felt like theirs the whole way through. They were constantly finding opportunities, constantly counterpunching what Secret Wales brought to the table, and G2 take game 1.
22 kills, and Caps finds himself involved in 19 of them. 7-0 and 12, the final scoreline. An impressive performance, a little bit scrappy at times, but a win nonetheless.
Caps is certainly my player of the game for this one. Analysts, how y'all feeling?
It's unanimous.
Yeah.
That was international Caps for sure, Rens.
That was insane. It was like roles reversed there because I expected Team Secret Wales to be the one pushing the pace of the game, maybe G2 trying to respond. No, Caps was all over the place, built